Hi there, in this video we will be talking about Selenium WebDriver with Java Selenium. A driver is responsible for controlling something. A WebDriver is mainly responsible for controlling the web browser such as Chrome, Firefox or Safari. Simply put, WebDriver has one job and one job only. It is to communicate with the browser. WebDriver does not know a thing about testing. It does not know how to compare things, assert, pass or fail things. It certainly does not know a thing about reporting or fixing given when then grammar. WebDriver talks to a browser through a driver. The driver could be Chrome driver for Chrome browser, Gecko driver for Firefox browser, and so on. Communication is two ways, meaning WebDriver passes commands to the browser through the driver and receives information back via the same route. Through WebDriver, Selenium supports all major browsers on the market such as Chrome, Firefox, IE or Internet Explorer, Opera and Safari. Where possible, WebDriver drives the browser using browser's built-in support for automation. WebDriver's aim is to emulate a real user's interaction with the browser as closely as possible. This is possible at varying levels in different browsers. Even though all the drivers share a single user-facing interface for controlling the browser, they have slightly different way of setting up browser sessions. Since many of the driver implementation are provided by third parties, they are not included in the standard Selenium distribution. This means that you have to download certain different packages and requirements from the vendors of the different browsers. You can also use WebDriver remotely the same way you use it locally. The primary difference is that a remote WebDriver needs to be configured so that it can run your test on a separate machine. A remote WebDriver is composed of two pieces, a client and a server. The client is your WebDriver test and the server is simply a Java servlet which can be hosted in any modern JEE app server. Now let's talk about WebDriver architecture. So how does a WebDriver actually work? Let's take a look at this illustration. What do you see? Assume this scenario. You write a test case or some Selenium code with your favorite language, let's say Java. We call this test case the client. Once you finish writing your code, you run your code. If all things are done well, this code will be converted into JSON format. This JSON format or JSON will be sent to the driver that controls your browser, which you have decided as Chrome browser. The driver is also known as the server. For the Chrome browser, the Chrome driver is the server. Different browsers use different drivers as the driver is provided by the vendors of that browser. We must use the respective driver for the specific browser we are using. If all things are done well in this part, then the driver will execute the commands and interpret the JSON into the browser through HTTP protocol. The browser will then respond back to the driver and the driver will send JSON response to the client. The communication, as you can see, is two ways. This may not make sense to you at one glance, but once you start working with Selenium WebDriver, this will definitely make sense as you run your test.